joining me. Working on a project today to install some data cables. I guess the whole gist of the video is going to be how to fish wires up inside a cavity of your wall to get those cables where they have to go. These data cables are a little different. Normally I'd be running like Cat 5e. We could have installed Cat 6, but we're installing Cat 6a to kind of future-proof because this cable will support up to 10 gigabytes per second speed. The cable I'm using in particular is this cable here. We have a 1,000-foot spool. This stuff is big. I mean, if you look at this is the size of like an RG6 television cable. So I started drilling holes, thinking I'm pulling Cat 6 through, plenty of room in a 1-inch hole, and I soon found out that you don't get very many of these ginormous cables through that hole. So we'll be drilling some more holes. But this is the cable we're using. It seems to pull pretty easy. You can see we ran some lines. One line is from the Verizon fiber system. So we had to get a cable from the server rack to the Verizon equipment. Every 2 rooms are offices in this home, so each room is getting 2 cables. We are also running cables up to the attic. We did run some PVC sleeves up there. I can show you that later, just to make additions in the future. I think we have a total of 7 lines going up to the attic for exterior security cameras, Wi-Fi, camera doorbells. I mean, we got everything. So I'm gonna be pulling cable until the day I die, and then we will, I'll show you how we routed some of that stuff. The next thing we did, once we spent a lot of time walking around figuring out the cable path, we're trying to get the best way through the floor joist to the area we want to work. And it's just, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. You want to make sure that there's nothing on the other side of the floor joist when you're drilling. You want to make sure you're not running into any duct work. There's a million obstructions. So you could just see we just knocked some holes in, we ran some cable. This is only the first floor cables. This isn't the 7 cables for the attic yet. So you can see where I ran the cables. Just ran them through. These will just get tie wrapped. I don't want to do any extreme bends on the cables. We're trying not to kink anything. So this bigger cable is pretty good. You can see where I just ran it through the joist here. Ran it down. There's some things in the way. There's a return air duct here. In our case, you may not have that in your basement, but there's a return air duct and I don't want to go through that. So we kind of went around it. We just used some screw-on back plates with tie wraps that attach to them. And then we're going to be just running the cables. So this is 2 cables for one office. And this is actually this one office is going to have 4 cables. We're going to be running these up and we're going to fish them up inside the wall. I'm not sure where we have to go yet to drill up. I don't want to drill up and come through the hardwood floor. I don't want to. It's kind of tight to get in here with the drill bit, and if we have to drill back in here, I might have to start back here, So I may end up just putting down a pilot hole, and this is where we're going to start getting into how I'm going to fish these wires up inside the wall cavity. I ended up drilling some holes inside the closet, and I put a couple PVC sleeves down. These go, I'll show you where they end up in the closet upstairs. I'm gonna be actually fire stopping these 2 holes. And I will actually, once the cables go up, I'll be fire stopping around the PVC pipes also. So we don't have like a vent to the attic, God forbid there was an issue in the future. So that's it, and then we'll head upstairs. Why don't you come into my closet quick and I'll show you the lines I ran. Here's the bottom that will be caulked and fire stopped. I'll probably most likely add another support here just because I can't stand this. We added just a couple of clips right up to the attic. That'll also be fire stopped and caulked also. So these are basically for our 7 data lines and for future power up to the attic. I brought some tools with me, and these are the same tools I've been using for years. Some new pieces. One of the things I use is a Diversa-bit. This is a Diversa-bit, so this is like a 6-foot long bit that you just use with you can use with your cordless drill or corded drill. Diversa-bit is great. You have different tools for different uses. I just happen to have lots of friends that like me to help them with electrical projects. So I have lots of tools. Plus I had a lot of things left over from, from my years in the trade. So this is the Diversa-bit. And that's I think it's a 3/4 inch. And this is just a flexible bit that fits up inside the wall. This is the bit that put the hole in my closet, one just like this. You put this bit up into the, you can put it down in the receptacle box. Once you cut the hole, you can put this right down, and then you could just run this down inside the wall cavity, run your drill, and it'll put the hole in straight down for you. The other way to do it is really handy for, let me show you on this light switch over here. This is really handy when you cut in a switch for a light. You have an empty hole there that you put your hand in. You put your Diversa-bit up inside and you run it up. Some of the kits come with a bender that clamps on, that you bend the handle, that will bend it for you. I never had the handle on pre-handle. I just bend it using my man muscles. Stick that right up inside the wall. It's gonna go right up to the top inside the joists, and you see how it straightens out pretty much. Put your drill on there and you're just gonna run that in. The reason I put the hole in my wife's closet was because I was kind of old school. I ran this thing up inside and there was a little bit of tension on it, like that. So unfortunately it came out on the other side of the wall. One of the things you can use today is this little ball set, which fits right inside the wall. So it's kind of a centering wall. You slip that on there. Comes with a little collar and a little set screw. You run this thing right up to the top. Stick it through your hole in the wall, you run it up, and this will keep your bit centered inside the wall. So you can drill right up through, and you won't have the chance of running crooked with this thing. So that's one of the tools. Another tool I use for drilling is like a bell hanger's bit. This is probably what I'll use on this job. You can tell it's a bell hanger's bit because there's a little hole. So you'll strip the cable and you'll wrap the cable around these flutes and into the hole. And that keeps everything in the same plane as this opening. And then we'll just pull the wires back down. So that's probably what I'll drill this hole with from the basement. To fish the wires, I use a set like this. This is a new set. I've lent my set out several times and never got them back, so I bought myself a new set. They make other ones. There's some Chinese sets that are okay. This is a USA made set, which I like. So it's got a lot of fittings on them. These fittings, in my experience, do not come apart. In the field, if you're working with another electrician or mechanic, you guys are yelling and cursing at each other. Can't you see it? Can't you grab the fish tape? A lot of times you get someone that's helping you. This is kind of a handy accessory. I think it's about 14 bucks. I'll put the information in there. What I think is cool about it is the inside of the walls are dark. So you're trying to fish this thing up through either down from an attic or up from a basement. And people, I don't see it, I can't feel it, or whatever's happening. So this is a little light. Lights up, goes in the end of the fish tape. And you're gonna stick this up inside the wall, and it's a little light. So when you see this thing coming up, whoever's helping you is gonna see the red light, and they'll be able to grab this fish stick and pull it out the hole. Well, now that you saw kind of all the fishing tools and the drill bits and things like that, I'm gonna kind of locate the hole, because I really want to be between the studs, kind of centered. I don't want to put them too close to the stud. I don't want to make a mistake and put cut out on one side of a stud and another side of the stud. We'll make the hole. The other tool that's really useful is a fish tape. I like this fish tape. It's an ideal product. It's just a 100-foot fish tape, but I like it because it's stainless steel. I've used the steel ones for years. They rust, they get stuff all over your hands. This is kind of a cool thing that stays in a case, and then you just, I'm I'm sure that's going to make for great audio, but you reel it back up again. It's an awesome tool to have. They're not terribly expensive, and it's a good thing to have in your toolbox. One of the things I would do is I'm looking at this. This is kind of easy to see. Older house. I can see marks. This house had a fireplace in it, so you got a little bit of sooty marks on the wall. But I can easily see there's a stud here, and I can see there's a stud there. So that's super simple for me to see. So I know that we're going to want to cut the boxes in, a few inches off of this stud and a few inches off of this stud. And I don't want to put them really close together, right? Because I don't want to leave a little weak web of sheetrock in the middle, and I want to leave room for the plate. So I kind of want to put one, like 2 inches off the stud here, 2 inches off the stud there or so, just to kind of space them out, leave a nice piece of meat in the middle. I don't know exactly where the wall is. I look downstairs and some of the cables, the BX cables, are like really close to the plate. So I really have to kind of drill at an angle to get in there. I don't want to come up in the floor. I don't want to mess up this guy's hardwood floor. And I don't want to go outside into the sheathing. So it's not a straight up and down. It's kind of an angle to get into the cavity. I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. I will bring the cables up in the center of the cavity, and then they'll just kind of branch off into the boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a coat hanger to find for a pilot hole. I don't want to use a big drill bit. I don't want a chance coming up. So I'm going to use a piece of coat hanger. So there it is. Very fancy, my very fancy drilling and locating tool. All I'm going to do is use a pair of cutters that are rated for cutting steel. And they're called dikes, diagonal cutters. Super handy tool for pulling out staples and things like that, but also rated for cutting steel. So I'm going to just cut a piece of coat hanger. I'm going to cut off another piece of the coat hanger because I can see that's crooked. Sometimes this goes terribly, but if you can look at the end of that thing, you can kind of see the profile, how it's kind of it comes up to a sharp point. That's what I'm going to use to drill with. So I'm just going to use our cordless drill, chuck it in there. Set it to drill. High speed. And so I can see center is right about here. So I don't want to go through the floor, so I'm just going to go through the trim. So all this is going to be is, once this is all cleaned down prior to repainting, it's just going to be a little, the white caulk is out anyway. The white painter's caulk is caulking all the joints and things, so that's out. You're just going to put a little dollop of white caulk. You'll never see this hole in a million years. So there's my fancy coat hanger tool. I'm going to stick it right in there, kind of straight up and down. Okay, I'm through the pine already. Now I'm going to go through the oak. That's 3/4 of oak, and it's 3/4 of plywood. So that's a pretty thick chunk of wood with my fancy bit. And I'm in the basement. So let's go see where that came out. You saw what I did upstairs. There's the coat hanger. So just drilling at a little bit of an angle in that toe molding. You saw I went through the pine, 3/4 of an inch of oak, 3/4 of an inch of subflooring, and boom, there I am from a piece of coat hanger. So it took 2 seconds to get through. There I am. So that's the toe molding. Then I have like a 1/2 inch of regular molding. So I know my wall is right here. That's like the center of my 2x4 right there. So I know if I drill kind of at an angle, starting right here, a little bit of an angle, I'm going to end up right inside the middle of that wall cavity. And I'm going to miss the molding, and I'll miss the oak floor. I can see the mark right here where I came down with the coat hanger bit. So that's going to be right behind the toe molding. Then you're going to have a baseboard molding maybe to here. And then this is going to be the wall, the inside of the wall cavity back there. So as long as I have to drill at an angle. As long as I start drilling back here at an angle, I'm going to end up inside that wall cavity for the most part. I'm going to use this bell hangers bit. we'll see how that goes. Okay. I'm either through the floor, in or outside, or I'm in the middle. So let's take my super cable here. A lot of times when you wrap up your cables temporarily, I'll give you this tip. My first journeyman told me, when you wrap up your using tape, something like that, just take the end piece and fold it over into a little tail. And that way you're not picking at the tape. You have a nice little tail that doesn't stick, and then you could easily just grab it and get back to work. Okay, so I'm gonna take some of this. One's a little longer than the other one, but it's really easy to get in that cavity. What I would normally do is wrap some tape around here. But I think it's such a short run for us that I'll be able to grab it pretty easily upstairs. All right, so we're inside the wall there. I'm gonna hop down, go upstairs, and hopefully that cable's inside the building. We took a look at the other receptacles in the room, and it looks like the top of the plates are 15 3/4. So we're gonna come right from the hole we made right up, and I'm just gonna measure up 15 3/4 inches. Sort of about there. That's gonna be the top of the ring, or the box. The box we're using are these Cantex low voltage rings. These are kind of cool because they're old work style. You can use an electrical box, but you really don't want to bend the wiring that tight. With something like this, it's just open in the back and it gives you plenty of room. We're gonna put this on the wall. The only thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have a sharp pencil point. And I have an electrician's pencil sharpener here. We're gonna get this plate right on the wall, just like right on the top there. I'm going to throw my level on top and just get this thing leveled out right there. Then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to go right into these little holes right here. And it leaves us the 4 little dots. So it's kind of a handy feature that Cantex put in there. And then what we do is we're just gonna take our level and we're gonna level it out and we're just gonna connect those dots. So I'm just using my level as a straight edge. No leveling really needed. Okay. So that should be the same as the outside of this box here, because you see the holes are pretty close to the formed plastic. So we should be able to cut that out. And to do that, you can use a razor knife. You can use a razor knife to cut in. You can use, I have it's by Klein Tools saw. It's very sharp. I suppose it's ergonomic, and we're gonna punch in with that. Or I can use my 30-year-old saw, which is pretty worn out, but I like it. So I know there's nothing back there, so we're just gonna start right on the line. And things I do is I like to get it started on all the sides. Just like that. Because if you try to cut this and then you try to go in and plunge into the top, it'll snap off or it'll break. So I just, as a tip for you guys, from someone who's never messed up a wall yet, now I've put that out to the universe, I'm very sorry. And you can always trim this a little bit with a knife. It's never going to be perfect. The other thing I do is I don't usually finish up with a short edge. I like to do the short stuff first and then the long one, just so I don't snap it off. Just take your time. And when you're at this point, you just kind of go slow. Just go slow. See, it's starting to move. And there we go. So anyway, there we are. There's the outside sheathing of the house. You can see there's some foil facing there. And we're gonna get set and fit our ring in there. I'm sure the ring's gonna fit. And it certainly does. And we'll tighten that in once we get the cable up through. Okay, see the cables? And there we go. So we'll end up throwing our ring on there. This one you could probably see the action of how the clamp works a little better. See, it just flips down against the sheetrock there, and then we'll tighten it up, and you'll see that flat moving out. And there you go. And then these will just get punched down on the appropriate keystone jacks. They're going to get a plate, and then the plate's going to mount on the wall, and that's it. Thanks for watching.